Welcome to CAN TV 21 Hotline. Let's talk etiquette. My name is Nathan Wright, and I am the Executive Director of the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. And I'm inviting you to call in, and you can do that by calling 312-738-1060. I give it to you again, 312-738-1060. I want the phones just off the hook. Just everybody trying to get on today because this is a wonderful, wonderful subject. But first, let me introduce my co-host, Miss Gina Jameson. Welcome again, Miss Jameson.
Good evening,
I am
Mr.
so
Wright.
pleased. I'm excited to have you as my co-host. And we have a dynamic subject today. And as you well know, a big holiday is about to come, and it's called Thanksgiving. And what we would like to do for our audience is to give them an education in table and dining etiquette, and so that they can teach their children how to set the table and how to dine on Thanksgiving Day. Don't you think that's a good subject?
That's truly awesome. That is awesome.
Oh, yes, yes. And we've done this so many years. And just tell us a little about your last year's Thanksgiving. Was it something special that you had?
Oh, my goodness. Something special. Usually Thanksgiving is the day that I have family over.
Yes.
So I love to cook.
Yes.
So I'm generally in the kitchen the night before,
Okay.
preparing ahead.
Right.
And then I'm in the kitchen Thanksgiving Day.
Yes, yes.
So that I can be ready for my guests. I do try to do as much preparation the night before.
Absolutely.
But that's a holiday that we all treasure.
We treasure that.
Yeah, we treasure that holiday.
And you work so hard to make it as a beautiful, pleasant experience as possible. And of course, you want your table decorated to be attractive and appealing. And then the menu is just going to be really something super special. And you've worked so hard to make everything just right. And I understand how important that is to the person who is preparing Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, and I appreciate that. But today we're going to talk about table etiquette. And I'm going to show you on the overhead a layout of a table, and so that you can get a sense of what this discipline is all about. And I would like to start, I hope everyone can see this well enough to be able to identify the things that I'm going to cover. Now, in this table setting here, you have your forks on the left and your knives and spoons on the right. And the reason for that is because this is a European table setting. And in Europe, they favor their left hand over their right hand. And as you can see in the diagram here, your forks are here. And of course, your knives and spoons are on that side.
Well, you know what, Mr. Wright? I see that if forks are on the left and spoons and knives are on the right, what are the two utensils on the top of the plate? Going in different directions.
Oh, good question, good question. Of course, they are your dessert utensils. This is what you're talking about right here. Those are your dessert utensils, and they are there so that they can be considered separate from what's on your left and on your right. So it's not a mistake in knowing what they are for at the top of the plate.
But let me ask you this: why do they travel? Why are they positioned in two opposite directions?
Good question. Your etiquette maven is coming out.
It's just coming out.
Well, I would like to just go back to you and I for a second here. The question is a great question, and so many people really don't know why those utensils are at the top of the plate. And they're there because the dessert is almost treated as a separate item on the menu. And number one, it's the last thing served, so then when you see those items, those utensils they're there specifically for the dessert, which is the last course to be served. And so the question you had was, let me go back to it. You asked, why were they facing in two different separate directions? Is that what your question?
That is correct.
Good question. Now, the reason for that is because all forks are to be in the left hand, and all spoons are to be in the right hand. What that means is that the only way I can pick up this fork is using my left hand. Or if I'm going to pick up the spoon, then the only hand I can use is my right hand. And the reason for that, Gina, is because in Europe, they favor their left hand. It gets back to that whole concept about what is your hand you use to eat with. And of course, if you go to London or England, or you go anywhere in Europe or the Far East, they favor this style because this is customs. And although here in America we do what we call is a zigzagging. Okay, we switch the fork from the left to the right. But customarily, if you're talking about people who eat all over the world, 85% of the world eats European style.
European style.
So they favor their left hand. And we want to encourage everyone out there. Next week we're going to be talking about dining etiquette. And next week we want to definitely show you how to eat European style as opposed to eating American style. But back to the table, as you can see, you have on the bread plates, you have a knife. And then, of course, these two items here are your pepper shaker. And this item is a very little interesting item there. And I'm sure many people who are watching probably don't know what that is. And that's a salt cellar with a salt spoon. Okay?
Oh.
Now, you may want to ask, why is that not a pepper shaker?
Why is that a salt shaker? Right.
Correct. Well, the reason for that, this is one of those little items that somewhere along the way, someone come up with a little bowl and this little tiny spoon as opposed to a salt shaker. And this is very popular on certain levels, and we would certainly encourage those who are interested in this kind of a thing to consider a little salt cellar. In fact, I brought a few salt cellars with me.
Oh.
So that I can hold one up. That's
Okay.
the salt cellar.
Here's the bowl.
Right, it's the little bowl. And here are salt spoons. So, and me, you know, in Etiquette Foundation, we have a whole collection of this stuff, right? So we get to show all different styles. And this is one here, a little tiny spoon that will go inside of that. Okay?
Just like that.
And technically, there are literally hundreds of these little tiny spoons. We have about 20 in our collection because we want kids, when we're teaching workshops or doing workshops on table and dining etiquette, we want our students to be able to see these little items, to feel them, to examine them. And people actually collect these.
Yes.
You go into the antique store and you ask for salt spoons, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. So you can have a variety of these little tiny spoons here. So that's an important part of your collection for dining. They have salt cellars, these little tiny crystal. This is crystal, which is, and it's hand cut. I wish we could see it close up to see it.
Me too.
But what we do, we normally pass these around to our students so they can feel it. You know, it's so important to be able to touch it.
Right.
You know, just get an
So
idea.
they can understand how elegant.
How elegant it is. Yes, yes, yes. Now, so that's what's involved with these two things. And then if you notice, we have a variety of glasses on that side as well. Now, what is that all about? You know, and this is one of the questions we get about the glasses. And of course, you see a tea cup, a tea or coffee cup, and saucer. Okay? And so this is basically a setting. Now, what is it supposed to be able to tell you? Okay? And that is how many courses are you going to be served, and in what order those courses are going to come to you. And so what is the rule of thumb? You start from the out,
And you go in.
and you work your way in. So in other words, the first course on this setup is salad. Okay? And the second course would be soup. And when you, the whole idea behind your utensils, Gina, the whole idea behind them is everything is based on your salad knife is smaller than your dinner knife. Your soup spoon is larger than your teaspoon. So in this way, you know how to identify setting from out in based on the number of courses and what order those courses are going to be served to you. So essentially here, it's furthest out. and put the teaspoon in the center. And in that way, you know when you come to the table. And so that's a key to understanding what to expect and to anticipate when you come to the table. How many courses you serve to you, okay? Now, lastly, well, not lastly actually, is this little knife here. And I don't think let me put it back up there. I don't think we talked about this little knife here. No. You can see it there. This little knife is called a butter. It's a knife. And all knives are to be in what hand?
In the right hand.
Yes. So that means the job is to pick it up with your right hand. Okay?
What I notice are the knives are basically...
No, you're so observant.
I tell you.
This is key. Being able to observe this thing. And so these knives, the blades are facing in towards the plate. That is so important. Facing in towards the plate. And the reason for that is it goes back to the Renaissance and even early in our history. Weapon, they're still a weapon.
Right.
People still carry knives for the purpose of as a defensive weapon or whatever kind of weapon you want to call it. It's still a weapon. But okay, 500 years ago, you know, they carried long knives. They carried short knives. They carried knives in their boots. So they didn't have guns. And it was common for men to carry knives. Okay, maybe 1, 2, or even 3 knives. The 3 Musketeers. You remember the 3 Musketeers? They sword fight, lethal too. But anyway, so to avoid your guests feeling intimidated or threatened, you would face the blade of the knife in towards the plate so that they would understand that you don't plan to do any harm to them with this knife. Because, of course, these knives are very harmless and they see it as a weapon of some kind, you know.
Just keeping with the culture.
With the culture.
With the culture, that's why we do it. That's basically it.
Right. It's there and it's designed to be a utensil to use to eat with. Now, it has a little serrated blade. Serrated means it's got these little teeth in the blade so that you can cut through your steak or whatever you're eating. That's a meat, and you would need a knife to do that, or your salad.
Right.
You see. And so this is a key question. The blades, when you're setting your table, never ever face the blades outward. Because these are traditions. You want to make sure that we honor certain traditions, and of course this is international, and so we want to be consistent in demonstrating that we understand why a table is set the way it's set. Because you may have someone ask questions, or you may have a guest over to come over and look at your table and say, they won't ask you publicly in front of everybody.
Right. But that's the beauty of understanding the basics or the placement of a table. You want a person to feel like, oh, I see we're going to have soup, we're going to have salad,
yes,
we're going to have dessert.
Yes.
That's what you want to get.
Right.
And looking over here to the left to see what they're doing. You want your guests to be comfortable. And that's the beauty of learning dining etiquette.
Yes.
Table etiquette.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honoring. It's 1,000 years of history in this one little display. And it has evolved, but very slowly. And what we see here today is like 500 years of history. And so this is why we continue to honor these traditions. Glasses are always to be on the right. I mean, if it's off to the left, which means that it's an informal. If this was a formal, weddings, special events where it's a formal event, and thus you would see the napkin on the plate. Napkin is to the left is because your space for your napkin, when you unfold your napkin, in fact, I think I brought a few napkins with me.
Okay, let's just demonstrate.
Open it up, allow it to unfold on its own, then come down and then bring it into your lap from the left. Now your napkin will do the same on your side.
Okay.
This is your private space.
This is my space.
Right, yeah. If we're going to be bumping into the left, right.
I want to ask you, do you pop it?
Oh, no.
Just thought I'd ask.
Okay, that's a good question. You will find some people
that pop it.
Yeah, and if you're at home by yourself, you want to just do something, go ahead.
Yeah,
What the heck?
right.
It's your house. You can do what you want with your napkins. But one of the things that I want is that you have two size napkins. And most people don't know this. You have what is called a luncheon napkin, and I'm holding up a luncheon napkin. So you can see the difference in the sizes of our napkins. Your napkin is larger, okay? And that's because you have a dinner napkin, and I have a luncheon napkin.
Wow.
So why is that important? It's important because if you're having a luncheon, you want to have the right size napkins. And of course, there are people who know the difference. Okay? It's just that simple.
Just
There are
that
people who know that that's not a dinner napkin. You having dinner with luncheon napkins. Okay? Now, no one is going to probably say anything to you about that.
But someone who knows how etiquette,
Yes.
the tradition is, first thing they would do would recognize this is not whichever one it is. Or
Right.
this is the correct napkin.
This is the correct
Let's take it into
napkin.
positive. This is a correct napkin.
Yes, yes. And then Gina just does such an outstanding job. She's such a terrific etiquette maven, and she teaches so well. So I know she know. Whatever I see her doing, I'm going to copy it because I know that's right. And so this is why you would see it set that way. Okay? Now,
I do have a question.
Yes.
Though.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you approach a table, you will, especially you notice that when you're going to banquets, the napkin will be in a glass.
yes. That's and you go out to a restaurant or a banquet hall, and the reason they put the napkin in the glass is because here's a table set for 6 really comfortably, but they have 8 people sitting at a table designed for 6. Okay, so that means they have to squeeze everything together. You sitting here and all your little whatever is here, and then the person sitting right next to you. It's like we have to be sitting like this.
One on top of the other.
Yeah, because the spacing is just not the same. So there is no space for that napkin to be over there. So what do? They take that napkin and they put it in a glass. Now, personally, it's okay. It looks kind of nice and fancy looking, and we all okay with it. But what really happens, you have lint. This is cotton.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless, it's going to have lint. And when it's placed in a glass, you're going to end up with lint in that glass. So then the waiter or the waitress is going to come along and then pour your water in that glass that has about 400 or 500 little tiny fibers of lint. And it's not going to kill you. It's not going to make you sick or anything. It shouldn't. Because we breathe enough lint every day. It comes off our bedspreads and sheets.
But wouldn't
and
it be the very first person or person to see the lint in their wine and say, oh, this glass is not clean?
That's true. It happens often.
It happens
Or your
all the
water.
time. All the time,
Because when you,
right,
before
or your
you,
water.
Yeah, before you drink, you look at it, and if you see little things floating on the water, you say, it's in there. And so you're right. That is part of the downside of them putting the napkin inside of the glass as opposed to placing it in its proper place. So yeah, that's one of the things that we really have to just basically think about, okay? But back to the glasses real quick, because I want to kind of cover that before the show is over with. And the glasses are key. Now, that's all based on size, too. Okay, the largest glass on the table is your water glass. Now, in this diagram here, you would see 4 glasses. Okay, in this instance, this would be your water glass here. Okay, now you only really need this glass, Gina. You really don't need these other glasses, technically. The only thing you are required to provide your guests with is water. And if you're going to have coffee and tea for them, then you would have coffee and tea as well, right? But these other 3 glasses are technically extra glasses that relates to a specific part of the menu, or you're going to have a toast. This glass here is a champagne flute. And you see them at weddings often, or retirement parties, or, you know, when you have those kinds of events where you're going to toast someone. Okay, if you have your retirement party. When we did your retirement party,
Right.
we had champagne fruit.
We had champagne fruits.
Right. So, because we were toasting you for your wonderful service to your ex-employer, and, and your dedication, your hard work, and all the other wonderful things you do before you get to retiring. And
Right.
we wanted to honor you for that. You're just such a terrific person. And I know they didn't want you to leave.
Oh,
They tried to talk you into staying another 10 years.
at least.
You're too young to retire. See? And so we had champagne flutes. We gave the Etiquette Foundation hosted a retirement party for Miss Jameson because of all the wonderful things she do in the community and all that great stuff. But, you know, we get in the signal, and I want to definitely get our information out here before we close out the show. And I want folks to be able to contact you. And
Caller.
yeah, and we have a caller. Was that a caller? It looks like we're too late for a caller. But anyway, your organization is To Touch a Life, and you can give us the
To
number.
Touch a Life, and the email address is totouchalifeevents@gmail.com. I'm the president of To Touch of Life, and you can call me at 708-212-1645.
Okay, very quickly, we have a caller. Hello?
1645. Okay, very quickly, we have a call.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Yes, go ahead. Hello?
Yes, caller? Okay, sorry, the caller's gone. Okay, then of course our information here is it's you can call us at 312-473-2942. That's again 312-473-2942, or you can reach us at efoi.org. You can go to our website, and or you can email us at info@efoi.org. Okay, back to us. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to. Okay, we have a caller? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, great. You said for a formal dinner, the napkin is in the plate.
Yes.
Okay, but you also said when they overcrowd the table, they put the napkin in the glass, and then you have the lint in the glass. But wouldn't you have lint on the plate also?
Yes, this is why we don't really bicker about it. If you're doing a wedding, you're not going to see the napkin in a glass, or it shouldn't be in the glass. It should be in its proper place, and that's on the plate. And that plate generally is not used for your meal. It's just a plate. They remove that plate and bring you a plate with your food that's in that course on that plate. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it depends on what establishment you use, but most of them are pretty professional in that sense. A formal event, whether it's a retirement party or a wedding, the napkin is generally on the plate, and you should insist that it's on the plate because it's a formal event. If I'm going to wear a tuxedo and you're going to wear a gown, there's protocol to that, and so that's one of the essential parts of that protocol. And certainly
I
you're going to.
understood that, but you was talking about the lint in the glass when they put the napkin in the glass, and I'm thinking, well, if the napkin is on the plate, then you would have lint on the plate, and that's why I had that question.
Right. Well, that's a good question, and the reason I gave that answer is because that was my personal preference. I don't particularly like the napkin in the glass because of that.
Right.
Okay? That's just my personal opinion about that. But you absolutely.
There'll be a lot of people's personal opinion.
But you asked a great question, and you're absolutely right. The napkin on the plate does leave lint, but generally they don't take that plate and go back in the kitchen and put your food on it and bring it back out to you.
Okay.
All right. But thank you for calling, and stay tuned with us next week and get the dining etiquette portion of it, okay?
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
That was a good call.
Good
Yeah, good call. So, we have another caller. A caller, you on the air.
We have another caller. A caller, you on the air.
Oh, wow. I guess we don't. I guess we don't have a caller. Yeah, but anyway, I think that's pretty much closes the show up, but just quickly, I do have a couple other little quick things that I wanted to show. This here is a knife rest. That's what you rest your knife on. It's kind of a nice little item that you may want to add.
Oh, that's adorable.
Isn't that adorable?
Yes.
Okay, here is,
Do you happen to have a knife?
I have a knife. This is, if you decide to have your guests, you want their name card. Oh, wow, you can't see it. Maybe I can tilt it over a little bit. Let's see, maybe I go this way with it. This is a card rest, a little,
Card holder.
yeah,
Placement
card holder. See? So I have, you're my honored guest,
Oh, my
Gina
God.
Jameson.
Yes.
Huh? So this is what this little item here is. So if you want to add some things like this just to improve or enhance your decor, let me see if I can grab a knife out here real quick. Okay. Okay. All right. That's, well, we got to go with that. Okay? So anyway, next we will continue with this subject, and we'll bring some more of these things out for you to see. But I want to close by saying good evening, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Etiquette.
Good evening.
Good evening.